Hi, I'm Nicole.
And I'm Anthony.
And this is
Life with
Twins!
Oh, God. All right. So last week we talked about what it was like the year... basically that full first year after the miscarriage.
Our miscarriage, yeah.
So I think this week I want to talk about when we realized we realized we needed medical help. Mm-hmm. And so why don't we talk about the process of going through that and then starting the IUIs, they're called. So that was all you. Go for it.
Yeah. So one thing like during our year of trying that I didn't mention was that I really wanted to seek out medical help probably 6 months into trying, but I was too afraid to go ask a doctor for help at that point because everything that I read said it should take, for a healthy couple under the age of 35, they should have a year of trying before they seek out a doctor. So I kept, we kept trying, we kept doing whatever we could to get pregnant. But I really wanted about 6 months through, I was very eager to get pregnant. So I really wanted to see a doctor at that point. When I finally did see the doctor, I went in May of 2018. I was so excited to go because I was, waiting forever for help. I was really worried before I went in about, how the doctor would handle me, if, I don't know, my first OB doctor with the whole miscarriage stuff, I didn't really feel really took the time to, validate my concerns or make me feel okay about everything. So I was actually really...
I kind of want to get into that. In what... So you said he didn't validate your concerns. So
after the loss of the baby, when I had the ultrasound that said, that the baby, wasn't alive... Mm-hmm. When I went in after a week of trying to pass the baby, I really wanted another ultrasound, and the doctor just made me feel dumb, essentially, for asking for another ultrasound. And so taking that feeling of that doctor making me feel like me wanting another ultrasound to prove that my baby was not alive, to him was more of an inconvenience. I was really afraid of going into this other doctor and, going in and saying, I lost a baby. We've been trying for a whole year. This is everything that we've done. And, I was afraid that they would just be like, well, you just keep trying, you're young, it should happen. And so I went in there and I literally wrote out a list of everything that we have tried. And I basically formulated what I wanted to talk to the doctor about. And all I had to say was, we had a miscarriage a year ago. We've been trying for a year. And she was like, well, you should have gotten pregnant by now. So let's run some tests. And I was just like a huge weight got lifted off of my shoulders. And I was like, oh my gosh, somebody agrees with me. Mm-hmm. Somebody says that I should have gotten pregnant by now and that we should investigate it. Mm-hmm. And that made me feel really happy for not feeling like I was just totally weird for feeling the way that I was feeling. Yeah. So she ordered just some blood tests just to see I guess she probably checked my blood sugar just to make sure I wasn't diabetic. She checked my thyroid levels, my hormone levels, and things like that. All of that came back normal. And so once those came back normal, she was like, there's nothing really that I can do from an OB doctor perspective. I feel like you need to go see a reproductive endocrinologist or an RE. And they more specialize in infertility. So I went and saw her, a reproductive endocrinologist. Fortunately, it was in the same office, so that was really good. And she just ran a couple additional tests. So she did a blood test that looked over the overall quality and health of my ovaries, to see how many eggs I had and to make sure that they were good quality. I honestly don't know how the blood test works and shows you that, but that's what she said. And that came back normal and fine. Mm-hmm. Anthony went for a test that came back
more than fine.
He was like, I have how many in that load?
Yeah, listen. I mean,
he was walking around like a rooster, like, yeah. So that came back fine, no problems there. And then we did a HSG, which you can Google.
Oh God, that name is ridiculously long. We'd butcher it.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to say it. Basically, it's a dye test that they do. So they like take this catheter through your cervix. They push a syringe full of dye, and then they have this giant machine looking over your uterus, which is probably like an x-ray machine. They push the dye through, and they're looking to make sure that it goes all the way through the fallopian tubes to make sure that there's not a blockage.
Yeah.
So that came back normal and fine. I did a lot of Googling before that, and people said that it was really painful and really uncomfortable. For me, thankfully, it wasn't. It was very crampy and kind of uncomfortable in that sense, but it wasn't like, get me off of this table, I can't do this anymore type of pain. Some people said that they took ibuprofen and stuff beforehand, and that really helped them. I didn't. I felt fine afterwards. I didn't feel like I needed ibuprofen afterwards either. But I did feel crampy after and for the next day. So after all of that came back normal, she also did an ultrasound of my ovaries, just to kind of look at how my follicles looked. So follicles are just what holds the eggs and helps as the follicle grows. You assume that there's a mature egg in there.
So like the more follicles you have, the more eggs that you produce? Is that
yeah,
how it works?
So I don't really know exactly. You would think after all of this I would kind of know. But I know that you have all these follicles that are growing in your ovary, and every month one of them grows big enough and mature enough and it releases. And then the rest of them just kind of die, maybe?
We're not scientists.
No. And I didn't really pay attention enough to know exactly what the rest of them do.
But needless to say, the main point about that, though, is you did want to have a healthy follicle. Mm-hmm. And it has to be between a certain size in order to produce
a mature egg.
A mature egg.
Yeah.
In order.
So she looked at my follicles before ovulation. And in one of my ovaries, it was like kind of overproducing and kind of had like a polycystic look to it. I don't have the syndrome of polycystic ovary syndrome, but I have a polycystic ovary. So basically what the reproductive endocrinologist was saying was that I may not ovulate every single month, which might be part of the problem as to why we can't get pregnant. And so then she recommended doing an IUI, which is intrauterine insemination.
And so to break that down in the most easy to imagine concept, it's basically like you take my swimmers, but they're all cleaned off, they're all ready to go, you got the best of the best, you take those and then you basically, it's like a turkey baster, you just squirt it up there.
Exactly, just like a turkey baster. So if you want to save yourself cost, no, I'm just kidding.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. But it's almost like because it's not IVF, but it's basically like if there was a race, a mile-long race, you're basically taking those runners and you're putting them
closer to the end,
close to the finish line, and like, hey, just get there. So
and the doctor only gave us a 20% chance of it working. She said that it's the same percentage of a healthy couple for it to work, but they just do things to make it to increase your odds. But it only makes it a 20% chance every cycle.
That is really crazy, though, that it's only 20% chance that people actually get pregnant. Like, because it just seems so easy, for most people. They're like, oh, I got pregnant on the first date.
They're like, hey, what are you doing today?
Let's go have a baby. Let's go
what do you think we're doing with our life? Let's just have a baby. And boom, they have a baby for some people. But yeah, it's crazy that it's like only a 20% chance of it actually happening.
Yeah.
But I really clung to that 20%. And I was like, well, I'm going to be in that 20%. Like that. It's for sure, like to me, that 20% was 100% chance that it was going to happen. Because I looked at it as, well, I got pregnant once before, so my body only needs a little bit of help. It only needs like the swimmers to go where they need to go and to make sure that I'm actually ovulating, and boom, we'll get pregnant. So we had our doctor's appointment in June of 2018, and all of our tests were done in June. And then she was like, well, we need to do your next IUI, or do the IUI, but I was going out of town. She was going out of town, so then it fell. We had to skip a whole cycle and go. And when you're trying, skipping a cycle feels like forever.
Yeah.
And you finally feel like, oh my gosh, I have an answer. Like, we're gonna get doctor's help. We're gonna do this, and it's like,
now we're making.
Now you have to wait.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I was okay with that because I was like, it's gonna happen. We're gonna get pregnant. Mm-hmm. So I for sure thought that we were gonna get pregnant. So I went to Babies R Us and I bought a stroller. I bought a car seat. Now, granted, I bought them like 50 to 60% off. So I saved a lot of money. And here we are a year later, pregnant, and we are going to use it. But I was for sure
that it would happen that first time.
And I bought gender neutral clothes. Not a whole lot. Like, I didn't go that crazy, but I bought a couple outfits. And I was just like super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to have a baby next year. And, like,
you just make all your plans for your next part of life, that next chapter of life.
I am a planner. And so I was like, well, we're going to do our first IUI in July. And that means we're going to have a baby in this month.
Yeah.
And I was like, planning my life.
Yeah.
And I for sure thought it was going to happen.
Unfortunately, it did not go as planned. But what we should do is let's kind of cool it here. We'll talk about actually the process of going through it, and then your numbers. We'll talk about like the medicines you were on. Mm-hmm. So let's just save that for next week. We'll call it quits here, but let's make sure to just say thank you guys for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. We are so thankful that there's viewers there.
I know.
And honestly, it's amazing to have you guys. So just make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment below.
Yes. We are sharing our journey to try to help other people going through the same thing, or who might be feeling the same thing, or who just want to know more about infertility. And, we've gone through a lot, and there's a lot more that we could talk about in these episodes that we just don't have the time to get through. But if you have any questions or comments or anything about anything that we're talking about, we will respond.
We just want to be helpful for those that are going through this and feel like they're alone, because you're not. You're definitely not.
No.
And so we'll do what we can. But
infertility is 1 in 8. 1 in 8 people go through infertility. So you are definitely not alone.
Yeah. But thank you guys seriously for tuning in, and we will make sure to post an episode every Monday, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then sometimes we're going to do bonus episodes on updates of how she's doing throughout this current pregnancy. So until then, we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
They want to see you in the video.
They want to see an ugly dog.
Look. Why are you so scared?
Just HSG. Wait,
infertility maybe? Hysterosalpingogram.
Okay, so but basically what does it do?
So they inject dye through your cervix. It goes into your uterus and it goes through your fallopian tubes, just to make sure that everything's patent.
Patent?
Patent.
Not patent.
Patent.
What does patent mean?
Open.
Open?
Like a patent anus.
Patent anus.
That's what we say, like with babies, like when they have their first bowel movement, we're like, okay, their anus is patent.
Oh, look at that.
The bowel may be patent.